we're here about a temporary parenting plan then. So why don't I hear from Ms. Fellows first on that, and then Mr. Vigran, I'll go to you. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. I had filed the, excuse me, the GAL report on May 11th. We actually had court on May 18th. That was in front of Commissioner Chelsea Baldwin. She just basically reviewed that the GAL report was filed and didn't do anything with it, basically leaving it up to the parties to actually bring forward a motion, which is what the father has done based on the GAL report that I filed. So I am actually in agreement. He's basically following the recommendations that I made in my report. The only slight difference that I see is that he would like to see mom do the mental health evaluation prior to any continuation of visitation. I don't have a problem with that. I do know that the visitation I recommended is scaled back extremely, mainly because there is such a distance for the child to be transported between Longview, Kelso area and Spokane Valley. It's a long drive. And with his school age or going into kindergarten full time, that's just too much for a little one. So recommending that there be video visits, but that there be certain restrictions on those just to kind of keep it more boundaries into place. And also that the mother's family not be allowed to be around the child. This is based on the parenting plan for her younger child that was just filed and finalized in April of this year. So those are my basic recommendations. That's what I have for right now, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Vigran, any comment?
No, I agree with what Ms. Fellows said. And I mean, I'd like to mention that this is the 6th court date that the mother has missed. Mediation was canceled because she refused to respond to the mediators when they reached out to her. She just doesn't seem to care.
All right.
What I can say to that is that she has missed a lot of court hearings since October of last year. She was at the hearing on May 18th to review the GAL report. When I did notify her of the report that I had filed and to be watching for her email, her response was that she was not in agreement, that she would be looking for an attorney and that type of thing. But that she did not show up or respond to the mediation is not surprising, given her lack of responding and being attending to court hearings. There just seems to be lackadaisical, not making Derek, her son, a priority. So I recommend that the temporary parenting plan be put into place based on my recommendations in the GAL report.
All right, I've signed the temporary family law order and also the parenting plan proposed by Mr. Vigran. Some aspects of it, evaluation and treatment is required, indicates Ravenkrantz must be evaluated for mental health, and she must comply with any treatment that's recommended. Also indicates that if she doesn't follow that evaluation and treatment, that visitation should cease, which means she'll need the evaluation before visitation begins. There also is a requirement that she's to remain consistent with video calls for at least 2 months prior to any visit in Spokane Valley. The visits call for 1 week in July and 1 week in August.
Also that there not be any contact with.
There's a couple places where it indicates that there's no contact with the mother's family.
Okay.
So that was put in there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Good luck to you.
That's correct.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Schmidt is in one of our Zoom booths here at the courthouse. This is a motion for contempt, I believe by Ms. Lowry or Ms. Bowl. So if you want to lead us off and explain to the court why you're asking for an order of contempt, and then I'll give Mr. Schmidt a chance to respond.
Sure. We had final orders that we both agreed on for the March 19th trial. And Bruno has not followed any of the stuff in the parenting plan that he has agreed on. Number one being the location of my son's phone, that it was to remain on. So I have all the dates for that. Also, it looks like on the, let's see, the April 14th through the 17th, he went with his girlfriend, which isn't a problem, but he is supposed to tell me about who is picking him up at least, but it's supposed to be in the desired 2 locations of pickup. Bruno had told me that he couldn't pick him up until Saturday, which his visits start Friday. And I have all of this in my messages. So if I need to provide the proof, I can. Anyway, he had Mason walk down to the skate park and have his girlfriend pick him up without me knowing. He had him shut off his location. He had him stop answering my phone calls. I actually went to go pick up Mason after work because Bruno was out of town in Seattle per his girlfriend. I have the police report for that. They wouldn't allow me to have him back. He also told my sister he wasn't keeping him for the extra day on Memorial Day when I was out of town. That followed on his 3rd day of Mason's non-school days. So on his visit, he didn't want him. He did end up having him. He did proceed to tell my sister that he was going to be quote unquote petty because he thinks that I am just out of town doing whatever I want. Let's see, he hasn't paid the $2,500 fine that he still owes for my lawyer fees. Also on June 5th, he had these response papers served to me by his nephew, which harassed me at work. And I had 4 different people actually tell him to leave and he wouldn't leave. And in the hospital where I work, there is no tolerance for personal service there. There is a spot where he could go in the hospital, but is for patient safety. I'm just kind of tired of Bruno doing what he wants and not taking this seriously. Also, Mason has a dentist appointment that he is going to be having a lipoma removed in his mouth. And Bruno refused that on June 11th, said that he already pays for child support. So he said, take it up in court, that he doesn't think he should have to pay for it, even though he's responsible for half of his medical bills. I'm tired of Bruno thinking that he can do what he wants when he agreed to this parenting plan. And it's on several occasions that I've had just numerous problems. He messages me saying that I am childish for sending him the driver's license and proof of insurance, which I did not request for our parenting plan for the picking up parent. But I still provide that to him and also my sisters who's picked Mason up as well. He hasn't provided me his girlfriend's proof of driver's license in that case or his, but they did provide proof of insurance. He's just refusing. And I just want structure and stability for my son.
I have a couple questions. Mr. Smith's declaration indicates that his girlfriend picked up Mason at school that day. Do you have other information?
Yeah. So actually that day it was April 14th.
April 14th, we're talking about.
Yeah. April 14th, Mason came home from school after Bruno stated that he wasn't going to get Mason until Saturday, the next day.
They indicate that she picked him up from school, brought him to the skate park. He needed a helmet, so he walked home at that point.
Can I say something?
Not yet.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, if they want to provide proof from the school, that's fine. But I have cameras at my house and I show Mason on video coming in my house twice, 2 different times. My sister seen him at this skate park that's right down the road, asked him if he was supposed to be with his dad. And he said he wasn't sure. Nobody told him anything. So that's when my sister drove him back up to get him his helmet. And then he pursued to go back down because I allow him to go down to the skate park. I was at work at the time, so Bruno never told me nobody was going to pick him up. And I also get bad reception at the hospital. I do have to say that. So that if I don't know about his girlfriend picking him up, I have the times. He was picked up at 4:35 at the skate park. I guess by his girlfriend. Again, I don't have a problem with her. It states in our paperwork that any designee known to Mason can pick up Mason as long as they have proof of driver's license and insurance. But again, all this was not to my knowledge. I just known that the last thing that I had known was Bruno couldn't get him. I said, you're going to have to wait till your next scheduled visit. Your visit starts Friday. So
Why did you take that position?
For what?
Well, when you said I can't get there until Saturday.
He asked.
Let me finish my question so the record is clear.
Sure.
When he said I can't get there till Saturday, you said, well, then you're going to miss your visit and you have to wait for your next visit. What provision of the parenting plan allows you to cancel his visit if he's not on time?
Well, I wasn't sure. Sorry about that. Let me explain. I wasn't sure. Bruno has not been consistent with his scheduling. So when he had asked me, hey, I'm going to pick up Mason tomorrow, I don't think that's appropriate. And then in my parenting plan, it says that I don't have to allow him makeup time because this has been such an ongoing, inconsistent thing with Bruno.
Okay. Mr. Smith has indicated that he has provided his girlfriend's insurance information to you. Is that correct?
Yes, the insurance. And I believe that Bruno's on there as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith. You may respond.
Okay. So on that day, on the 14th, I think it was, I just got done with work and I messaged her and I said, I'm on my way home because I realized that I'm going to be a little bit late. So I told her it would be okay if she picked him up from school. And I didn't say Saturday, I would get him Saturday. I said, I will pick him up as soon as I get home. Cause I was about almost to like past Olympia, almost getting to Chehalis area. And I told her I would pick him up from you right as soon as I get home. And she said that that's not going to work. And if I'm not going to pick him up right at 3:20 or 3:25 from school, then I'm going to forfeit. And she said that she was going to bring up to the judge that I'm not being consistent and I don't want visitation. And I said, I will come get him. I'm going to be a little bit late. And she said, it's not going to work. So you're going to have to forfeit this week and see him on your next visitation. And then so I told her I will have someone pick him up. I mean, I will have him picked up at school. And she says, you have to pick him up or you have to forfeit your weekend. And then I called my girlfriend and I told her she needs to be there and she has to pick him up from school. He can't walk anywhere. He can't do anything. It has to be from school. And she said, okay. And so she waited over there. She even got there early and she waited there and her daughter both picked my son up from school. And then he called me and he says, hey, Dad, can I go to the skate park for a little bit? And I said, yeah, that's fine. So he went to the skate park. My girlfriend dropped him off at the skate park. And there's a park, like a kid's play park right above from the skate park. And that's where my girlfriend stayed. She stayed there. And then she said she went and got them ice cream and some water. And then she went right back to that park. Okay. And then she called me and said, I called her and I said, you got to go get Mason because his sister, his aunt's coming to get him.
Just a minute. There's a bit of a gap here. Your girlfriend is watching him and then she left to go get something to drink. And Mason had to be gone when she got back.
Yeah, so that's what happened. Okay, so she said she dropped him off, and then they went to get some something to drink and some ice cream and stuff. And then he said he was walking up to.
They is not right. She went.
Yeah, she went.
Mason did not go with her.
Yeah. So my girlfriend and her daughter, they went to go get drinks. She dropped him off at the skate park.
All right.
Drinks, and then she came back up, and I guess Mason walked up to his mom's to get a helmet, and then that's when she seen him on the camera. So. And then Colleen said that her sister.
I'm just imagining here your girlfriend coming back with the ice cream and Mason not being at the skate park. What was her reaction to that?
I told her she needed to get him. Man, okay. Let's see.
Well, how did you know he went anywhere?
Because Colleen messaged me and said I seen him on the camera. He walked home from school, and I said he didn't walk home from school. And then she said, yeah, he did. I seen him on my camera. And then he went up there to grab a helmet.
All right,
Am I-
so you were then aware that he went home?
Huh?
You were aware when you got that message that he went home?
Yeah, and my girlfriend said that he said he was gonna go up and get a helmet. And she said, yeah, that's fine. You can go get a helmet. Because he said he didn't want his mom or his aunt to see him and then tell his mom that he didn't have a helmet and then he'd get in trouble for being over there.
All right, so then your girlfriend went to the house and picked him up again?
No. She went to the she was right up, there's a skate park and then there's a park. And she was sitting there. And I told her, you have to go get him because his mom said that her sister was gonna go get him. And so I told my girlfriend to go get him and go
So
home.
where did she go to get him?
At the skate park, because there's a park literally right above the skate park.
Okay,
And-
so he went home and got his helmet and went back to the skate park.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
And then I found out that from his mom that her sister was gonna go get him because I didn't do it right. And she said that he walked home from school and he never did. So I told my girlfriend to go get him and go home. And then her sister followed her home. And then I was on the phone with my girlfriend when this was happening and said, her sister is here. And then Queen ended up showing up and she said that she walked up to my house and tried to open my door and kept shaking the door to try to get in. And then I seen her on my camera and I told her she has to get off my property and then wait. And then she said, the cops are coming. And I said, that's fine. When the cops come, I'll talk to them and we can try to figure this out because I was still on my way home. And then she said that she's calling, the cops are coming and she's going to get him. And the only reason I told Mason not to answer her phone call is because he called me and he was crying. And my girlfriend said he went and hid in the closet because he was scared. And she said that he was shaking. He wouldn't stop crying and he didn't know what was going to happen, but he wanted to spend time with me. And it was my weekend. So then she had the cops ended up calling me. I gave the police officers my number over the phone. And she called me and asked me if it's my weekend and if I give my girlfriend, if it's okay for her to watch him. And I said, that's fine. And I'm on my way home. And then she said, okay, so we're not going to take him out. But the reason my son called me and he was frantic, he was freaking out and he was scared. So I said, don't answer your mom's call until I get there and then we can try to figure this out.
what was he afraid about?
Because he said his mom gets really mean with him and he gets afraid of her. And he was afraid and he didn't want to lose the time with me and him. And he was afraid that he was going to have to. So my girlfriend said he literally went upstairs to my house and hid in the closet.
Have there been other times when you missed picking up your son and thereby lost a weekend with him?
No, I haven't. I haven't done that. Like since we did this, the parenting plan was over and figured out, I haven't missed a single weekend. I picked him up every single weekend. I've even taken some time off work and told him I can't work this weekend because I have my son. So that her saying that I'm inconsistent and all that is like before all this parenting stuff got finalized, there was some times where my job was really busy and sometimes, but since it was finalized, I haven't missed a single weekend.
Am I allowed to respond to that?
You are, but just a moment. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Smith?
Yeah, and I got something because I told her if like since I pay her the child support, it's to cover and I have him on my medical. I pay for his medical and everything. That's the only, I didn't say I refuse to do it. I said you can bring it up in court, but I feel like me paying the child support and him being on my medical and stuff, that should be my part of it. And I said that if you want to bring it up in court, you can, and we can figure that out. I didn't say I refuse to do it. I just said this is how I feel.
What do you
like,
mean should be your part of it? I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I don't know. She says that he's getting the lipoma removed, and she said that I'm paying half of it. And as on my medical, and I pay you child support, so I don't feel like I should have to do any more than that. But if the judge says it, and then that's how it is, then I guess I have no choice. But I didn't tell her I refuse to do it. I'm not doing it. I said if you can bring it up in court, and then we can figure it out in court. But with me paying the two things I do and him being on my medical, I didn't feel like that was.
Well, I don't know if it fits in this category, but typically the uninsured medical expenses, if that's an uninsured medical expense, is paid under some formula. So it calls for uninsured medical expenses are paid according to your proportional share, which would be in the child support worksheets. And that would be your share, that would be 0.562. So I don't know if what she's talking about is covered by insurance or not, But if it's not, then you do have an obligation to pay a portion of it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's why I said we'll figure it out in court and see what happens. I didn't. And as of her lawyer fees, I don't just have $2,500. I've been in touch with her lawyer and I'm going to do payments, but I don't have $2,500 just to give her. So I did talk to her lawyer and she said I can do payments, but
Have you started those payments?
I just got paid today.
Okay.
My account was negative as of like last week. So.
All right, well, if you're gonna make payments, then you need to be consistent with the payment plan. All right.
Okay.
Ms. Ball, you do have a chance to respond, please.
Okay, I do have to say the medical on Bruno's insurance, Mason hasn't spent quote unquote $10,000 for a deductible, so that falls underneath of why we have to pay out of pocket. And they did say that's an estimate. They did give me an estimate amount, but they can't tell me a final number, a total, until after the procedure. So that's why I had brought that up. Also, for Bruno saying that he had said that he let me know that somebody was going to pick him up. He did not. Like I said, I do work at the hospital. I don't have the best reception there, but there is other ways to get a hold of me. I do have all of this proof of in my text messages from Bruno, if you would like me to provide all of it. He has missed his, I believe, one visit, and that's also in my text messaging, saying that he did miss a visit. He had to work. As far as me going to Bruno's house, there was the big misunderstanding of me thinking that he just had somebody, his girlfriend, just pick up Mason, and without letting me know. I actually spoke to her on the phone. I said, hey, I don't know what's going on. Take my son home. As for Mason being scared of me, I've never heard of that in my life. I don't understand that. What he had told me, and as well as my sister on 2 different occasions, is that he was told to not answer my phone and go upstairs and go hide when I got there to pick him up. That's exactly what he told, like I said, me and my sister. I don't punish Mason, and I don't understand why Bruno would say that he would be afraid of me. I have a very structured home. That just kind of blows me away. I'm not sure, but like I said, if Bruno would have made sure to tell me, hey, I have somebody to pick him up, fine. That's okay. Even if he's not there, that's a designee, and I understand that.
All right,
Can I respond to that, please?
go ahead.
No, I did message her and I told her he's going to get picked up. I messaged her so she can show your messages. I did tell her he's going to get picked up, so you don't have to worry about it.
You didn't say who was going to pick him up now.
Okay. I didn't think that mattered, who, because I figured she was not going to let her do it. That's because she does not like her. She's telling you right now she's okay with her, but I've got messages of her saying racial stuff to her, calling her fat and all this stuff. So she does not like my girlfriend at all. So, and I didn't want to lose my visitation with my son. So on that part, yeah, I probably didn't do it. But I told her he's going to get picked up, and she does have a license and she does have insurance. And I thought I did send her both of our licenses because I took a picture and sent it, but maybe it didn't go through. I'll send it today. But I thought I sent it both with the insurance and everything, but I guess I didn't do that. But my son did not. He tells me all the time that he does not want to be at home with her. He's not going to tell her because he has to be at home with her. He's going to tell me, and he opens up to me. And he did not get forced to go up in the closet. My girlfriend said, I was on the phone with him, and she's like, Mason, come down here. And he didn't want to come down. So her saying that's why my son is afraid of her. That's why he says what she wants to hear. That's my opinion. Because he was on the phone with me and he was freaking out. He's like, I don't know what to do, Dad. I was like, I don't want to lose time with you, but I'm scared. And then that's when he got off the phone with me and he went upstairs. And I said, just stop answering the phone until I get home, and then I can talk to your mom if she's still there, and we can try to figure this out.
You see your son every other weekend, is that right?
Correct. I asked for more time and she told me no, because I had I don't remember the exact date, but my boss gave me Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. And I messaged her and I said, hey, I'll give him some more. I'll get him some more this week. And then she messages me and says, I didn't pay all this money for you to effing ask for more time. So take what you're given and don't ask for more. And I have that text message too. And I just said, I just want to see him more this weekend because I have these days off and I could just spend more time with him. And she said, that's not how it works. And you're not going to get what you want.
Would like him to provide that proof because I have never told him that. I actually fought for 2 years for a parenting plan. I did give him every other week and weekend. When we first started, he said it was too much. So this is when the every other weekend started. Yes, he did ask for Thursday through Sunday, but that fell on Mason's school day. So I just figured weekends would work out better. So he wouldn't go back and forth from house to house through the school days. So that was already adjusted in the final orders that he agreed on.
All right, I'm not going to revisit the final orders here. We need to talk about April 14th.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
At the beginning, both times that Ms. Bowl has indicated that Mr. Smith's been late or, called because he was going to be late, it was because he was working. And to me, that's significant. I mean, it's not like he's doing something else other than earning money so he can pay child support. And anyway, so what happened on April 14th, it appears from everything I've looked at, is Mr. Smith was working. He got caught a little bit late. He was supposed to pick up his son, I think after school. He was going to be a couple hours later than that. He called Ms. Bowl, indicated he was going to be late and asked her to take Mason for a couple hours till he could get there. Ms. Bowl took the position that if he's not on time, then he loses that entire weekend. I want to say clearly that is an unacceptable position. It's not supported by the parenting plan. And if it's ever brought to my attention that you take that position again, then I'm going to start changing the parenting plan to give Mr. Smith more time. You cannot deny him his weekend just because he's a couple hours late because he's working so he can pay child support. All right?
I understand that. I just
Don't interrupt me.
Okay.
I'm giving the decision. So Ms. Bowl refused to do that. That put the father in a position where he had to pick up Mason. Somehow Mason picked up that if Ms. Bowl was taking the position, he would lose the visitation with the dad. That meant that Mason wouldn't see his dad for a month under the every other weekend visitation. So Mr. Smith arranged for his girlfriend to pick up Mason. I find as a fact that the girlfriend did pick up Mason from school, took him to the skate park. I am very concerned that while he was at the skate park, the girlfriend left. I think if that ever happens again, if it's not a parent, the person has to stay with him to let him just leave. I understand, it appears that he does have the ability to walk between the skate park and home. But when I read through the file and, understood the girlfriend just left him there, I was very concerned about that. Anyway, Mason walked home to get his helmet. That looked like he had walked home from school. I understand Ms. Bowl's reaction to that, but I'm going to find that he was picked up at school, brought to the skate park, went home, got his helmet, went back to the skate park, reconnected with the girlfriend, and then somehow all of this moves to Mr. Smith's house. It appeared Ms. Bowl was still claiming that Mason could not be with the girlfriend and wanted to pick him up and cancel visitation for that weekend. Police were called, and by the time Mr. Smith got there, he indicated it was his weekend and they left Mason with him. I'm very concerned that both parents put Mason in the middle of this, and Mason sounds like a sensitive guy, and you really need to take steps in the future to not put Mason in the middle. The parenting plan specifically allows designees to pick up Mason. And so if the girlfriend picked him up, that was certainly within the concept of the parenting plan. There's nothing, as I said, in the parenting plan that allows a parent to cancel visitation if the other parent is late. Based on that, I'm not going to find there's contempt. I'm going to encourage both parents to first not put Mason in the middle. If Mr. Smith, if you're going to be late, then you probably need to figure out who's going to pick up Mason instead of you and let Ms. Bull know.
Yeah, I will.
Okay. And Ms. Bull, again, designees are allowed, and you're not allowed to cancel visitation because Mr. Smith might be late. Any questions, Mr. Smith?
Nope, that's it for me. Thank you.
Ms. Bull, any questions?
Yeah, I do. I guess I kind of misunderstood the final orders of me not allowing him makeup time. If he does miss his visit, here I am still at work thinking that he is trying to get him on Saturday. So that was where the miscommunication was.
How is that makeup time if it's his weekend? That's not adding any time.
I guess this is new to me, so I wasn't sure. Like I said, if he had let me know that somebody is picking him up, again, I don't have a problem with his girlfriend. I'm not going to take away visits. I guess that he just needs to make it clear to me somebody's going to pick him up. And it does state in our paperwork that they can pick him up at my house or school. So as far as the location turning off, I do want to mention that Bruno has consistently turned the location off on Mason's phone. That is a safety issue for me. When I got Mason his phone, I did put an app on his phone. That's the reason why I got him a phone, is so he can go down the skate park and I know where he's at all times. So that was our agreement, is if I give you a phone, you cannot turn off your location. So Bruno has done this several times. I have all the dates. I have
Morning, Ramen.
screenshots. I have all of it. So as far as that, I mean, where do we go from there?
Mr. Smith, what's your position on the phone?
Okay, so I understand what she's saying, but for his safety and all that, when he's with her, I understand that. But with me, what she does is I didn't even know she had the app, or he had the app until she messaged me like out of nowhere. Like I was in a 35 mile an hour and I was going a little over 35, and she messages me and she's like, "You're going unsafe speeds with my child. You need to slow down." And I was going like maybe like 38 miles an hour. And she's like, "You need to not be going that fast with my son." And I was like, "How the heck? How do you know what I'm doing anyways?" But I'm being safe with him. He's got a seatbelt on. I'm going, a couple miles an hour over. And then I had him one weekend where me and my girlfriend's daughter and him, we were just having like a little movie night with each other. And then like midnight, we got hungry. We went to Taco Bell, and I went to Taco Bell, and then we went straight home. And she messages me and she says, "Why is my son out at midnight? This is unsafe, and you're an unfit parent, and this is not responsible." And I was like, "What do you mean? We're getting Taco Bell and then we're going home." So this is why I don't want the location on. When he's with her and he goes down to the skate park by himself, that is understandable. But she is tracking everything I do, and it's constantly, "I'm going to report this to the judge. I'm going to report this to the judge. You're doing this. You're being unsafe with my child." And I don't think that's, to me, I think that's stalking. That's borderline stalking me, because
I do not
yeah, I didn't interrupt you.
like that provided, because I do not do that.
Just a minute. Let's let Mr. Smith finish. Are you finished?
Yeah, that's it. That's the only reason why I don't want the location on him when he's with me, because I keep him safe. And if anything happens to him, I call her and let her know, "Hey, you need to meet me here. This happened." So it's not, I'm just gonna not tell her what happened. But she just wants to track everything I'm doing.
Ms. Bull?
Actually, I do not anymore. I did in the past, actually twice. But since, like I said, the final orders with that, I don't check on him when he goes to his dad's. It does notify me when his location is off, and it does notify me with driving speeds. But again, after final orders, I haven't said anything about his driving, his time being home, nothing. I just ask that he respects the parenting plan.
Has this occurred since the parenting plan went into effect?
Her saying anything? Well, because I turn it off. As soon as I pick him up from school, I have him turn it off. Because I don't think, I even talked to the sheriff and he said that's borderline stalking. So because like I understand when he's with her, or if like if I had the thing like, hey, yeah, you can stay here at the skate park for a little bit, I don't mind, you know. And then like I need to know where you're at, or if he wants to go hang out with his friends, I need to know where you're at. But when he's with me, he's in my care, and I'm taking care of him, and I'm making sure he's safe. I don't think she needs to know exactly where he's at. When he's with her, I'm not constantly like, what's he doing? Is he doing this? Is he doing that? Or where's he at? Or are you driving the speed? I trust her to take care of him. So I don't ask for a location for me or to know where he's at. So I feel like when he's with me, I only get him for the weekend. It should just be up to me to keep him safe and not her to have to constantly know what I'm doing or where I'm at.
All right, well, I'm looking at the parenting plan. And it says the residential parent shall ensure the child has his location turned on his cell phone in both households. I think that needs to be complied with.
Okay.
And Ms. Bull, you can't use it as Mr. Smith is claiming as a way to stalk him. But the parenting plan does require it, so it needs to stay on.
Okay.
Okay. Why don't you both take your parenting plan out in the next couple of days and read the whole thing? I think that might answer a lot of questions going forward. Again, I hope you don't put Mason in the middle of any disagreements that you have. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. I think that's it.
Yep.
I'm going to deny your motion.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Latos, you want to unmute yourself? Ms. Latos, you're not on the docket today. I'm not sure when you come back to the docket, but I just wanted you to be aware of that. Your next court date is June 22nd at 9 o'clock. I think that's next week. Okay, so see you next week here. Thank you. Ms. Powers is here. Megan Bodine is here. Mr. Gojak, I think you're involved in this case.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Anagnostou is here also.
And Sherry Farr.
Yeah, Ms. Farr, yes. What I'm thinking at this point is that we need to move this case to a hearing on the full guardianship and take some steps in that direction. But let me hear from everyone, starting with Mr. Anagnostou.
Yes, my question is, Your Honor, I was appointed in the emergency guardianship, but I haven't been appointed in the main guardianship, and was going to ask if I am going to be appointed in the main guardianship to represent the father, Vance Baldwin.
So that was a note I made going through this. I think on both counsel, I need to reappoint in the full guardianship at this point to continue that representation, if you're willing to do that.
Yes, I'm willing, and I just wanted to make sure the record was correct.
And same here, Your Honor. I'm also willing to be on the full guardianship petition.
Okay. And then Ms. Farr, I think you're appointed in the emergency minor guardianship. I think I need to appoint you at GAL in the full guardianship.
And yes, I actually have the GAL appointment in the emergency one only.
Right. So I prepared in order to appoint you at GAL in the full guardianship. Do you have any objection to that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And now I'll go ahead and sign that order. Can this move to a hearing, say in the next 8 to 12 weeks?
Yes.
Because what I'm proposing at this point is from this docket to put you on the universal trial setting docket, probably for June 28th, which is a Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And put it on for, I guess, a one-day hearing. And then have you get a trial date from there, which is going to be, again, probably 8 to 12 weeks out. Okay. All right, so let's do that. Let's put it on the Universal Trial Setting docket for June 28th. I believe I've extended the emergency minor guardianship order until the hearing date on the full order. So that should remain in effect. Yeah, I did do that.
And what about visitation in the interim between now and whenever we get a trial date?
And so that's a good question. Is there any going on right now?
No.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. I haven't reviewed the file for that. Let me just see if I can make a decision today, or I'm willing to set another hearing to address that issue. Ms. Farr, are you prepared to make some recommendations regarding visitation today?
Well, Your Honor, I have not spoke with the parents yet. And my understanding is that the restraining order on the mother was just recently lifted. So that's one of the reasons there hasn't been visitation. And I think that we need to explore what the issues are before we can grant visitation.
Okay,
If I may be heard briefly.
yes, please.
Your Honor, if we could at least do some kind of supervised visitation, if nothing else, maybe one of the relatives, the current petitioners, can act as supervisors. We're not asking for much, but some visitation, especially if we're looking to go out about 8 to 12 weeks. That's quite a while for a parent to be away from their child and not have any contact.
Let me hear from Ms. Bodine. I think the options here, we work out something today, or we come back in a couple weeks if we need some further investigation. Ms. Bodine, what's your position on supervised visits?
So I wrote in the full guardianship about, it was a residential proposal for like things that I thought, would be necessary. And so that's like, making sure that they're clean, that they're doing what they need to be doing, and, at least following those steps. And then if they're doing that, then I think that they should be able to see them. It's going to be complicated with Vance, but I remember back when Jackson had to see him, they would go to Anita's house, and, I haven't talked to her yet about the possibility of that in the future. But as long as they're following, the steps in the right direction, I don't see anything wrong with them being able to see them. I don't want to keep them from them like that, as long as they're doing everything they should be doing.
All right, I'm looking at your residential proposal. And who would be the supervisor, Ms. Bodine, that you would be comfortable with?
So with Lacey, I could just do it, but with Vance, I can't be present. So I'd feel comfortable if like Anita or Big Vance was there. I trust them to look out for the kids.
Okay.
I don't want to get them stuck in a building and, make it worse than it already is. I want them to be at least comfortable where they are,
Sure. And are you able to communicate with Lacey at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think at a minimum, what I'd like is before any visitation, I'd like both parents to take a UA and provide the results to Ms. Bodine. At this point, I'm not going to stay involved in looking at that over the next few weeks. Just do the UA, give the results to Ms. Bodine. If there's a concern, you can bring that back to the court. Okay. If the UA is negative, then I'll allow supervised visits. I guess for right now, let's go 1 time a week, up to 6 hours. I don't know what day of the week works best for all of you. Can I just let you work that out?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then it looks like as far as Vance is concerned, the suggestion is that Anita Baldwin be the supervisor. Miss Baldwin, you're on Zoom with us. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, thank you. Same thing, he would need to do a UA, assuming that it's clean, then 6 hours a week at some, at a different time than Lacey's, okay?
So just for the court's information, my client is in treatment and he has taken recent UAs which are clean, and I can get those filed to the guardian ad litem. And
If those are within the last week or two, I think that'll be sufficient.
perfect. And then so then we can arrange directly with Miss Anita Baldwin to set up that time.
It looks like that will work.
Okay.
So that will be in effect until you get to trial in this case. Okay.
So up to 6 hours, right? It's not full 6 hours, because that's a long time.
Yeah. How old is well, the kids are at different ages. One's 12, right? And the other one
Right.
4, something like that.
Yeah.
And even if the 4-year-old is tuckered, but the 12-year-old is still going, I see no reason why the 12-year-old can't continue with the visitation.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't like the full 6 hour block if like other stuff was going on. I just want to make sure that's how it
Well,
is.
I think if the kids are getting tired, that's one thing. But I would like to be able to have you carve out the time for the parents if we can.
Okay.
All right.
And Your Honor, I would just request that both parents sign the ROI so I can get copies of those UAs and treatment information.
All right. I'm going to let the attorneys talk to their clients about accomplishing that. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Let me go around then. Mr. Gojak, any questions?
No questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Farr, any questions at this point?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Anagnostou, any questions?
I am looking to see if I have contact information for Nita Baldwin. I'm not sure that I do.
Ms. Baldwin, rather than.
Yeah, just go, if she could give me a call, that would be great.
Is she still here? I don't see her. Oh, there you are. You moved on my
Yeah.
screen. If you could call Mr. Anagnostou and let him know your phone number, that would be great. Looks like you had a question, Ms. Baldwin.
Yes, sir. I'm just receiving some private messages from Vance Baldwin stating that he's not able to communicate. He's locked out of being able to speak or video for some reason. And I just wanted to share that.
For this hearing?
Yes, I can see him on there, but he's sending me private messages saying he's not able to unmute himself or
I
bring
see.
a video so he can participate.
Okay, let's do this. We got a little bit of time. Mr. Baldwin, why don't you log out and then log right back in, and we'll see if we can fix that problem. Try. Okay.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and enter a notice of appearance and propose some worksheets. The kids are receiving TANF benefits, and now that the parents have been served, we're gonna take some action.
Okay, so everybody can expect that.
So just for clarification, Ms. Powers, are you counsel for the petitioner?
I'm counsel for the state of Washington,
Oh, I
Prosecutor's
apologize.
Office, Child Support Division.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. You were able to hear what was going on?
Yes, sir. I followed everything and I agree.
Okay. So I know you're represented, but if you want, you can be at the universal trial setting when a trial date is set on June 28th. Was that the date? I believe so. June 28th at 1 o'clock.
Okay, June 28th.
Yes. Okay. Anybody I missed? Lacey, any questions?
No.
Okay.
If I could make a comment, Your Honor, briefly,
Please.
Client Vance, you need to get those UA results to me so I can get them to the court.
Okay, I'll work on this next week, if not tomorrow.
And to both parties, Ms. Farr needs release of information for wherever you get the UAs or wherever you're receiving treatment, so she can review those records as part of her report.
I also need to interview both parents, so if you please could get in touch with me.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Your attorneys can help you make that contact. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. At this point, I'm not going to set another review in front of me, but if something comes up, you can always do a docket notice and bring it in front of me. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, I'll do the additional order to determine visitation schedules. And I think I had asked Ms. Smith to check with a proposed supervisor. I'm looking for the name. Go ahead, Mr. Anagnosky.
No, I was just saying that's correct. It's my understanding, the guardian ad litem has looked into that and has a recommendation for the court.
Okay, good. Ms. Smith?
Good morning, Your Honor. Mallory Smith, guardian ad litem. I did provide a short supplemental report to the court, but maybe I didn't get back. I had filed it yesterday with a bench copy. So the short of it is that it's Miss Christina Mendez, her name. She is a family relation to Miss Ray by marriage. She had a conversation with me. She'd be willing to facilitate visitation once a week. She does reside in Cathlamet. It would be her preference that the visitations would occur in Cathlamet, and she'd be willing to open her home to facilitate that. She inquired of this GAL whether it would be agreeable if the parties were in community events during these visitation schedules. For example, she had mentioned that in Cathlamet they have their annual Bald Eagle Days that happens on a weekend. If Miss Ray is exerting her visitation on a Saturday or Sunday, the parties could participate in that event. It was my recommendation or concern shared with Miss Mendez that the caveat would be that she would still remain in eye and earshot of the children and Miss Ray during this time. That they were not, it was not appropriate at this time for the children and Miss Ray to leave the line of vision from Miss Mendez. Miss Mendez did indicate that she would be willing to extend visitations beyond just the 2-hour mark. Her request is that it not exceed more than 1 day a week. She has other familial responsibilities that she has to facilitate and coordinate. And I did a brief criminal history. Ms. Mendez appears very responsible, reliable. She has some minor traffic infractions, but that's the extent of what I was able to find in searching Odyssey and the court's website. The challenge I believe that will exist is that obviously Ms. Ray is without reliable transportation that may serve as a hindrance. I did note in my report that Wahkiakum does have their transit system, Wahkiakum on the go. I think Ms. Ray could probably follow up with that and see what that schedule looks like to coordinate pick up and drop off to get her to the Cathlamet area. And I'm unsure how that might impact Ms. Overby's travel, if that would make it easier or more difficult. She does bear the burden of all transportation at this time and continues to facilitate that. I think that the court should also know that now that we're in the summer schedule, I think that it's important that the consistency in which these visitations occur be elevated. There has been some need to transition or move schedules for phone calls, for visits. Some have been missed. More reasons that I won't sit there and say that it's any party's specific challenge that they've brought to the table. It's just been a reoccurring challenge that all parties have pretty busy schedules, and it's been hard to create consistency. I think given the summer schedule and the fact that the children are now out of school, that whatever agreeable schedule that the parties come to remain the consistent and priority for all parties involved.
Let me hear from Mr. Anagnostou, and then we'll go to Ms. Overby.
Yes, Your Honor, I received the guardian ad litem's report yesterday and recommendation. I was unable to reach my client at the time. I see that she's here. You know, I know that she's been working on these issues with regards to transportation. The most important thing to her, these are children that want to be with their mom. They want to see their mom, and they make that request. They make their wishes and desires known. She's trying to solve her housing issue. We've previously submitted, she's in counseling and is, you know, there's no drug, alcohol issues here. It's primarily a housing issue that she's trying to solve. I know she's working on that. Trying to get into also housing. But I don't know if I agree, there's Wakaiyakam on the move, and potentially, hopefully she's been able to look into that. We got this recommendation yesterday, so I'm not sure what her position is, or if we could just ask her. She's here.
Ms. Ray, the request is that these visitations take place in Cathlamet. What's your position on that?
I have been taking the bus route here locally, and I think that I'm capable of doing the same for the Wakaiyakam. I'm not sure if Wakaiyakam, does it come to Longview? I'll have to figure that out, but I'm willing to do what it takes to see my children. I've been doing it this far.
Is Christina Ray here?
Yeah.
I am.
All right. I see Zaya, so I just want to make sure that was you. Go ahead. Any comment?
Yes, I'm actually very familiar with the Wakaiyakam on the move. There is actually a drop off right on our road. And I can help Shauna get that information. So that way she's able to access that to be able to come down here.
Do they still operate on the weekend? Do you know?
Yeah, that's my question.
Yes.
They do. Okay. Ms. Overby, any response to all of this?
Yes. I did prepare a short statement. I've spoken with several resources since the last hearing, and it has been ill-advised by both children's counselors that the children return to a more unsupervised visit at this time. I have spoken with Beth Fellows, who is the supervisor of the visits, and we had discussed that over the summer we would change to possibly a weekday visit so that she personally could supervise due to the concerns. She's had 2 supervised visits, one of which went extremely poorly. It involved lies, scandals, extreme manipulation, and frankly, emotional abuse of her children. And so she was hoping that during the summer we could switch to a weekday when she would be able to personally supervise those visits for better input. While I respect that Shauna has begun counseling at only 2 sessions, therapy takes time to get established and to make headway towards healthy, like conquering mental health challenges, which is what, from the reports that I've read, Mallory has been asking to happen in regards to expanding visitation and Shauna's, unhealthy interactions with the children. Shauna is flat out refusing to utilize the court-ordered parenting app. And so I feel that communicating and establishing these visits is going to be difficult with her. And so right now, the communication is through Beth Fellows and the visitation center. And so that kind of gives a buffer there, and she's setting up the visits and we're following through with them. And so that has given some consistency to the visitations, which is good for the children and myself. I would have a financial struggle getting the kids there every single week. Right now, as it is, I budget $200 to $250 a month in gas alone. That's not maintenance or anything, to get the children to and from Shauna's visits. And I could not budget more than that. I am without economical transportation. I do have transportation. I get the kids to their appointments and everything. Paisley had a counseling appointment this morning. But my cars broke down and I'm driving a truck, and I could not afford to drive every single week to, what was the town name? Cathlamet, which I Googled that it is an extra 30 minutes to our drive time, making my drive time almost 2.5 hours there and 2.5 hours back, which is a lot of time for children to be in the car. So that is a concern of mine, and it adds gas costs to that transportation. I am on a fixed income and taking care of these 2 kids with no financial support from either parent. I do have a recommendation, considering that the visits have not gone smoothly or well up until this point. My recommendation is that we continue the supervised visits for 2 to 4 more sessions. And with summer fast approaching, we establish video calls and maybe increase those to 2 times a week so that she has more regular communication with the children, and continue with the every other weekend in-person visit. I would like to establish the video communication through the app close app that we are court ordered to be utilizing, because they have a way to monitor the video interaction between the children that is easily admissible to courts if needed. My final note is that I know that cost has been brought up multiple times as the factor on why Shauna does not want to do supervised visits. She was able to easily spend $200 to $250 on unnecessary clothing items for the children this month that could have easily gone towards more quality time with her children. And
Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Let's let Ms. Overby finish, then I'll let you.
And so I guess I'm just going to close with my proposal that is continuing on with the supervised visits until we've established a healthy baseline between Shauna and her children, and increasing the phone calls to a video chat twice a week. I did try to do a video chat with her and she wasn't able to make that work. We tried to connect through Braden's Kid Messenger app to do a video call, and she wasn't able to make that work at this time because her communication and phone issues are a long-standing reoccurring problem. So I would like to get that set up. Thank you.
Ms. Overby, what's the status of Mr. Ray at this point?
Mr. Chappell?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chappell.
He is not having visitation with the children at this time. He is, I believe, going into another inpatient treatment facility.
He's not living with you at this point?
No, sir. He has not resided at this address since October.
Okay. Because the guardian ad litem recommendation is that he not have visitations until he starts or has an evaluation and treatment. And so I wanted to check in on the status of that.
Yes, he has only seen the children supervised since he went to his first inpatient treatment, and that was only after providing me with clean UAs. And I do not have one of those at this time, and so he has not had any visits.
Okay. Mr. Anagnosti, you may respond.
Yeah, no, I initially I had a question. The first question is that Miss Overby is not on video, and can she go on video for this hearing? My client has sent me a message saying that that doesn't sound like Miss Overby. Secondly, my client has indicated that the phone visits have been interrupted by Miss Overby. She has tried to arrange them, and Miss Overby will give excuses. They set the time. First they set it earlier, and then they set it later, and it's kind of a moving target. My client is not getting all of her phone contact. From our point of view, Your Honor, Miss Overby is attempting to be a champion for the father, for Jason Chappell, and is, interfering with my client's relationship with her children. And the children want a relationship with her. That's clear. The guardian ad litem has clearly indicated that in her recommendation. The issues with the visitation are being created by Miss Chappell or Miss Overby. Miss Overby, and then she's now claiming that that's a good reason not to expand the visits as we're trying to do right now. Miss Overby is the one who lives in the Shelton area, and if the travel time the children were here in Calais County. This action is in Calais County. And if there's an expense for her, she's trying to take my client's children from her. If there's an expense for her to do that, she's got to bear that. That's, she's the one who's seeking guardianship over my client's children. We were here. We talked about a third party as opposed to paid supervision because the court was sensitive to my client's very, very limited resources. And with these very limited resources, she's trying to solve her housing problem. And we need to foster the relationship, continue the relationship of the children with her mother. And the best way to do that, we talked about, and it was agreed, would be a relative that would be qualified by guardian ad litem to supervise. And we've done that. We've come up with a recommendation, and doesn't want that because we believe she's still trying to champion causes for Jason Chappelle, the father, and that's not her position.
Can I respond to that?
Not just yet. I'm going to let Miss Christina Ray respond first.
So in regards to like documentation, I am willing to document the supervised visits also. I currently work as a care coordinator with the WISE program. It's an intensive mental health services for youth. So I am a mandated reporter too. So I don't know if that would help, the decision. But then I had also talked to Sean, I don't know if this is the time to bring it up, that, with the kiddos, in the best interest of time to unify their mom and them together. I was wondering about guardianship or kinship into our home.
Right.
All right. You are free to file for your own another minor guardianship petition, just like Ms. Overby did, and then I guess we would have to determine what would be, which way we would go with that. But I can't make that decision today. Today, I'm really going to focus on visitation.
No problem.
Ms. Smith, I assume you have not talked to Ms. Fellows about this.
I have received visitation notes, which were also included in my supplemental report to you. It was one that was provided. She is still compiling the other notes from the other visitation. There was concerning, I wouldn't say lengthy, but there was a strong nod to some concerning behaviors that did occur at a particular visitation that do raise concerns as to Ms. Ray's ability to appropriately prioritize the emotions and the consistency and the standards that these children need. There was a promise that was a lie. With the child that she had purchased something for him. She had not purchased it. She then proceeded to lie about it being stolen, and then provided a letter to him in amongst his belongings that basically was a full disclosure. I didn't purchase these for you. I can't purchase for them. I feel really bad. So that's concerning. And that's quite candidly why I had a conversation with Miss Christina Ray about they need to be in earshot of her throughout the term of their visits. I think Miss Christina Ray does have an awareness of what is and isn't appropriate given her skill sets and her employment. But I would be remiss to say that the absence of supervision is appropriate for these kids right now. I think there's a lot of work that has been put into getting the children to a place where they can recognize and identify some of their challenges within their relationships with both parents. Both parents have been markedly inconsistent in setting standards and consistency for them. And I think if we diminish that and seek to move visitation to unsupervised, we are really setting these children up for failure.
Well, I'm not considering unsupervised. I guess the question is whether we continue with the Beth Fellow supervision for some period of time, given the concerns that Ms. Overby raised and apparently you acknowledge.
Sure.
Before we go to a situation where it's a little looser and more expanded with Ms. Christina Ray.
Sure. Yeah. I think Ms. Fellows has a smart recommendation to consider to continue with the supervised visits, professionally supervised. And maybe if we were to tier that down and say, let's get the notes from the next 2 or 3 visits, that will give potentially, that gives Ms. Ray 3 weeks. And if she's doing weekly therapy sessions, that's almost a month of therapy, skill building, identifying deficits, identifying strengths, that we could collect that data from her provider to see where she is at and acknowledging and pursuing better efforts. So
Are these visits with Ms. Fellows weekly or every other week?
my apologies, every other week.
Okay. Ms. Overby?
Yes. Currently they are bi-weekly on Saturdays, scheduled to have one this Saturday and then 2 Saturdays from this weekend. School is ending next week. They still go to school next week. But after that, I was working with the visitation center to get them on a weekday. I do want to bring it to the court's attention that the special education director at their school has recommended that Paisley attend summer school. And so 3 days a week for 4 weeks from July 11th to August 3rd, both children will be in summer school at the Hood Canal School. But I still would be able to do a weekday visitation. That way Beth Fellows can monitor the situation herself and provide documentation to the courts on how that is going. In regards to my location, the children have resided in Mason County since 2016. For at least half of the time, if not more than half of the time. And I have been a primary caregiver. And I think that I even qualify for de facto parenting based on the amount of involvement that I've had with these children for their entire life. I changed Paisley's diapers. She doesn't remember time in her life without me. And so discounting my involvement with the children is very minimalizing by Mr. Agnostu's
Go ahead.
And about my video, I apologize. I'm having connectivity issues today. And when I turn on the video, I can't hear anything else that's going on. So my lag is too much. So I just have my mic on today. Thank you.
Your Honor, may I
Briefly, Mr. Anderson.
briefly, just one thing with regards to phone calls, we need to get that so that they are not interrupted. Secondly, I would like to put to bed this shoe thing if we can do that, because my client is losing the opportunity to have a very good outside source supervise over these shoes. And I'm not sure if Your Honor's heard the whole story, but she promised her son to buy certain shoes. I don't know if they were Nike shoes or Air Jordans or whatever they were. She promised him, and then she wasn't able to follow through on that. She told him she had actually got them, but then they had gotten stolen because she tries to please her son, and that's what she was trying to do. She made a mistake. She's apologized to him. She's dealt with this in counseling. She made a mistake. She promised her son something, and because of that, we're sticking with supervised visitation with Beth Fellows because this occurred during those visits. And give me a break. She made a mistake. She promised her son that she had purchased him some shoes when she hadn't. That's what everybody's hanging their hat on here. She's in counseling. She doesn't do drugs. She's supplied clean UAs. She's got a great supervisor with a great background who will supervise the visits, but yet we're hung up on these shoes.
It's the lies and the mental manipulation, not the shoes.
All right, let me sort my thoughts here. I want to say a number of things, but I want at least 2 more supervised visits with Beth Fellows before we make a change. And I hope, Ms. Christina Ray, you can be available in the future. Let me say that I find Christina Ray is an appropriate supervisor. And when we get to the point of doing that, if she's still willing to serve as a supervisor, then I will agree to that. I find what apparently is not disputed, this lie regarding the shoes, I would not minimize it as Mr. Anagnostou did. I think it's significant. It breaks trust with the kids. Nothing really disappoints and harms a relationship between a parent and child than a promise about something that isn't followed through on. And this one wasn't even that. It was worse than that. It was a lie about what she had done. So I think it is significant. And there were other issues that make me feel that we need to have 2 additional supervised visits at least with reconnecting families. So apparently there's going to be one on June 17th. And then I don't know if there's going to be one during the day after that, but there'll be another one around July 1st. I want to see the notes of those visits. And actually, I want to see the notes of all the visits. So if, I don't know if Ms. Smith can get those filed with the court. It looks like you filed some in your recent report, which I haven't seen. And I guess the question is, can we come back on July 6th, or should I say the 13th so we can make sure those notes get filed?
The sooner the better, Your Honor. I would prefer the 6th.
Your Honor, can we go back to Tuesdays, please?
I will get the notes.
Can I get more conversations with my kids?
We'll talk about that in a minute. That's a good question. Let me look at your.
I'll make sure that you have the notes by before July 6th.
This is the way that clerk's office breaks it down. Even number minor guardianship cases are heard on Tuesdays. Cases ending in an odd number are heard on Thursdays. This case is 057. And my concern is if I move it back to Tuesday, that's going to cause some issues with the clerk's office. So I can't do that.
Okay, thank you.
Let's talk about video visits. I think the recommendation is those increase to 2 a week. I think that's a good idea. What times are good for you, Ms. Ray?
Anytime.
What times are good for you, Ms. Overby?
I currently, her call has been 6 to 8 on Tuesday from the time that we started it. That has always been her call time, and I would like to keep that one.
Okay.
Shoot. My guess would be like a Friday morning once summer starts in 2 weeks. And we can, for like a reoccurring time, as I know that they will be having Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday school throughout the summer as well.
Can we have another evening until we get there? Like a Thursday or Friday evening, 6 to 8?
I have we have a martial arts class that we take every Thursday evening, and Friday evenings I have an obligation.
Okay.
But I could squeeze in an after school time on one of those days possibly in the interim.
That's what I'm wondering until we get to Friday. You know when school's out during the summer?
School gets out next Friday.
Okay, so next week, we're looking at the week of the 20th. So there'll be a call on the 20th from 6 to 8. Let's say there was a second one on the 22nd. What time could that be? That'd be on Thursday.
From 4 to 5 is the only open window on that at that time on that day.
Okay. And can we repeat that the week after that? 27th and 29th, same times.
Yes.
All
School
right.
will also be out at that point, and so I would like some flexibility to maybe get a morning appointment with her set up. And I would like to insist on her acquiring the app close app that me and the guardian ad litem and Mr. Chappell are all using to communicate effectively, because there's video chat capabilities via that app.
Okay. All right, it'll be Tuesday, Thursday next week, Tuesday and either Thursday or Friday then the week after that. What's the concern, Ms. Ray, about the app close app?
The concern is not really a concern, except for the fact the phone that I have right now, the last couple phones actually, when I go to the app, I could see Jessica and the guardian ad litem having a conversation, or somebody's having a conversation, and I'm not able to read it at all. I've sent Mallory the proof of that. I have wrote the company and asked them what the problem is. I never got a response back from anybody, but they want to complain that I don't get on the app at all. I have ordered a phone through a whole different company, through Xfinity, and I've been sitting here since the 3rd waiting for the phone. I call every day checking on the phone, and somebody keeps calling Xfinity and changing my address. So this has become a game that I feel that just anything to get me, in trouble with my custody case or parenting plan or anything involved with my children.
What's the game requiring this app?
No, my phone that I'm waiting for, it not coming to me and being sent and bounced around to these different addresses.
So what does Ms. Overby have to do with that?
I didn't say Ms. Overby had.
Well, how is that interfering? You're indicating that you think somebody's interfering with your custody case.
Because I have limitations with the phone that I'm on now. It's not letting me on the app, right? Or I can get on it, but I can't see anybody's conversations. Why should I be on it? So I was letting you know that I'm trying to get into another phone with a totally different company, but somebody's rerouted my phone.
But that has nothing to do with your visitation or custody issues.
Okay. I'm sorry.
All right. I think linking that doesn't sound appropriate to me. All right. You can walk into AT&T, and if you sign up for their plan, in some cases, they'll give you a free phone. You haven't tried something like that?
That was the phones that I have.
Or AT&T phones?
No, not AT&T. I can't go through AT&T. They were Metro PCS phones. And then I've had a couple of the government phones.
So then, how have you had any video conversations with your children?
We tried last week, and she had me download the children's messenger app, and when I downloaded it, it all of a sudden hung up on us and did a bunch of stuff with our phone call, and it didn't work at all. I couldn't even call them back after trying to download that. I had to wait for her to call me back.
And so what did you do? Just have a telephone call then?
I ended up with just a telephone call.
Ms. Overby, I can encourage the use of the app close app. I can't require Ms. Ray buy the right phone to make it work. And if she's not able to acquire that, then I don't know how I can make that, enforce that. So I think.
Yep. I think that puts limitations from her end on the forms of communication that she can have with her children, because I have really gone out of my way to try and make a video chat or the calls more enjoyable for them. I provide them with activities that they can do with their mom. Like yesterday, Paisley was playing our communication dice game and asking, thought-provoking questions to be able to have a meaningful conversation. So I am really going out of my way to make these phone calls more enjoyable for not only Shauna, but the children as well, and providing them like books to read to their mom. But if she can't provide an app or something to be able to video communicate with the children, I don't have a solution to that either.
I will provide an app. I'm waiting for a phone.
Okay. Well, until that happens, I guess we're left with telephone calls with the children on the same schedule.
If
All
I
right.
may, Your Honor, I was just wondering if I could comment about because my client has told me that Miss Overby interferes with her phone calls when she is having them with the children. She interferes.
I disagree. I spend most of my time in my room giving them privacy and space. I did advocate for Braden, who was very sick yesterday and on like Tylenol and cold medicine, that he was, falling asleep during her call, and he really wanted to go take a bath and go to bed and didn't know how to politely excuse himself. And so I had Paisley take over the phone call and disappeared.
All right. I'm not convinced that Miss Overby is interfering. I think she's doing everything she can to facilitate it. And we're having equipment issues. I'm not convinced she's interfering. So I think the children should have some alone time on the phone with Ms. Ray. And so let's continue to do that. The next time we'll be back will be July 6th. That's a Thursday at 10:30.
And that's to discuss having a different supervisor other than Ms. Fellows.
It is, but it's also to review the supervision notes from Reconnecting Families. Right. I don't know which way I'm going to go on that. I'm certainly going to make, it's going to be important that there be consistent video or phone calls, and that's going to be important that there be consistent visits at Reconnecting Families. And then I want to see what those visit notes say. Ms. Christina Ray, could you be back here on Thursday, July 6th?
Let me double check my schedule. I'm sure I can make it work, but
I assume you're at work right now. Yeah. I don't want to interfere much with your schedule, but I think it would be helpful if you could be here then.
Is it the same time, 10:30 also?
It is.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and block out my schedule and just flex my time.
Okay. And if there's a time constraint around that and you need me to take this case earlier in the docket, then just let me know.
If you could do it at the beginning, that would be great. So that way I know how much time to actually block out.
Okay, I'll try to do that. I wanted to take it at the end today just because I knew it was going to be a longer conversation. So, but I can accommodate that.
All right, thank you.
I apologize. I lied. Not really. Would the court be okay with the submission of a motion in order for compensation for partial payment, considering how long this matter is continuing out for?
Yeah, that's fine. Please direct it to me.
Okay.
And I'll look at that. And finally, Ms. Ray, any comment at this point? I don't see her unmuting herself. Okay. All right. We'll see everybody back here on July 6th. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.